Alice picked it up and briefly checked the contents. Nothing too interesting from what she could see. An old pair of kid gloves, some embroidered hankies, yellowed with age, a paper flower, the kind they used to put on hats, and what looked like a small varnished wooden box, brown, about 3 inches square. "Alice!" It was her mother calling from downstairs. "Come down, please." Alice bunched up the paper bag, taking it with her, and ran down the back stairs. As she got to the bottom, there was a shout. "Surprise! Happy birthday!" There was everyone standing with party hats on. Percy and Delia blew whistles, and her mother had several boxes in her arms. Blanche was holding the cake. It had come from the bakery across the street and had her name with "Happy Birthday Teenager" scrolled in pink. There were blue and yellow flowers and rosettes bordering it, and there were candles, 13 of them. "Happy birthday, sweetheart. Happy birthday, Alice. Happy birthday, sis. Happy birthday, kiddo. Happy birthday, alley-oop." Blanche presented the cake. "Make a wish." Alice blew out the 13 candles with one breath. "What did you wish for?" asked Delia. "Can't say or it won't come true. You know that." Alice knew the wish she'd made she would never get. Still, it was a good wish to make, and so many of her other wishes had already come true. Why not? Josie put all the boxes outside and was bringing some paper plates, forks, and a jug of something orange. "Let's go outside, so we've got somewhere to sit and won't get in the way of them moving things," said Josie. They all filed out the back door and sat on the steps. Blanche brought the cake. It was a carrot cake, Alice's favorite, with thick cream cheese icing on the top and in the middle. Large pieces were cut and passed around. "Just a teensy-eensy piece for me," said Delia, who had recently become concerned about calories. "I'll have whatever she doesn't," said Percy. "Cake for breakfast is just the best, isn't it?" said Edmund. "Indeed," said Percy. Delia was scraping off the icing to the side, so Percy took his fork and helped himself. "If you're not eating that, I'm not letting it go to waste." Josie started to set out the boxes in front of Alice. "I'm sorry they aren't wrapped," apologized Josie. "There's only so much that can be done in secret with everything packed or moved around." There was a backpack for school from her father, a sweater from her mom, an iTunes gift card from Delia, a Chapters gift card from Percy, and a beautiful silver bangle from Blanche. "Wow, you guys, thanks so much!" Alice beamed with happiness. They'd remembered. Josie was looking at her watch. "Don't want to rush you folks, but we only have a few minutes." "Oh, I think we can spare a bit of time," said Blanche, and glanced over at Alice, who was blissfully happy. Josie relaxed and smiled. "I guess there isn't that much of a rush." However, she began to gather up the plates, and as she did, she picked up the crumpled bag at Alice's feet. "Oh, hang on, I want that. It's got a few things in it. I found it upstairs in my closet." Alice opened the bag and started to take the contents out and arrange them one by one in front of her. Then she came to the little wooden box. She put it in her lap. It was locked, but when she shook it, there was a small thump from inside. Delia said, "That's cool. What's in it?" "Don't know," said Alice. "There's something inside, but I think it's locked." She tried to pry it open, but the lock held. "I'll use a screwdriver when we get home," said her father, examining it. "It would be a shame to damage the box," said Josie. "Oh, it shouldn't. I doubt it's terribly strong." While her parents were chatting about the pros and cons of screwdrivers, Alice suddenly jumped up, saying, "Of course! Where's my suitcase?" "Oh, honey, it's in the car already. Is it really necessary?" asked Josie, who spent over half an hour making sure everything was arranged properly, despite Delia's and Percy's assurance that everything would be just fine. "I have to get it." With that, Alice ran to Blanche's car and started pawing through the piles of bags and boxes until she found her suitcase and dragged it out. She opened it and fished around in the side pocket till she found the little envelope. Then she ran back, breathless, to the others, who were watching with interest as she sat down and once more placed the little brown box on her lap. She looked at the envelope. forever loved, always remembered. For a few minutes before opening it, no one said a word as she took out the little gold key. The gold fob with the letter A glinted in the sun. They watched spellbound as if she was performing a magic trick. She put the key in the lock. It fit. She turned it. There was a click as the lock released. Alice sat frozen. There was a barely perceptible touch on her shoulder, and in her mind she heard a voice say, "Open the box." Alice lifted the lid. Inside the box was lined in burgundy velvet. A small hanky embroidered with the letter A lay over the contents. On an intricate gold chain hung a Victorian-era pendant, so precious, so exquisite it was like a jewel. The front was a dark blue enamel with gold inlay of minute flowers. Alice saw that it had a clasp and gently opened it. Inside was a tiny watch with gold hands and numbers on a blue background. It was inscribed, Alice. She paused for a moment, then delicately wound it. There was a faintly audible tick, tick, tick as the cogs engaged. After all the years it had lain there, it still worked. She carefully picked it up and fastened it around her neck. It hung to just below her collarbone. She didn't know what to do or say, and when she looked up, she realized everyone was held with the same sense of wonder. "It's so beautiful," whispered her mother, her eyes brimming with tears. "It's perfect for you. The perfect gift. Grandy would be so happy." "It must have belonged to your great aunt Alice," said Blanche quietly. And then, "Oh, I almost forgot." She went back in the house and came out with an envelope. She looked at Alice as she handed it to her. "I found it in a pile of letters. He must have meant to give it to you last year." Her voice trailed off. Alice took the large envelope Blanche had brought her. In her grandfather's old-fashioned script was written, Alice. It wasn't sealed, so she took out the card. On the front it said granddaughter. In swirly letters surrounded by little birds and flowers with a dusting of sparkle. She opened it and it read, "To my sweet granddaughter Alice, this card is for your birthday, but the love is for always. Grandy." "I know Grandy wishes he could be here in person, but I'm sure this is the best he could do from where he is." All eyes turned from Blanche to Alice and back again. For once there was no argument. Whatever anyone thought, they kept it to themselves, and all agreed by silence that it was indeed Grandy's gift to Alice. "It's the best birthday ever," whispered Alice. The auctioneer's car had pulled into the lane, and although still early, a small crowd was starting to gather in anticipation. No one wanted to break the spell, but they all realized that the time had come to pack up the cars and head off. "Time to boogie on out of here," said Blanche as she started the engine and the car rolled down the drive to Main Street. Alice looked back at their old family home. More people were arriving, congregating on the front lawn. The tattooed men were bringing out more furniture. The crowd eagerly rushed forward, jostling to get a better look. Alice felt a mixture of sadness and anger. They reminded her of vultures with their pawing, a disregard for all the memories spilling out from the place she loved so much. She started to turn away when she saw him standing apart from the crowd. He looked so out of place there, dressed in an old-fashioned white suit. He struck a pose as if on a vaudeville stage. His right arm was extended, holding a bamboo cane, and on his head he wore a Panama hat. He seemed to float on the sun-dappled lawn. Then he smiled at her and tipped his hat in greeting. Alice gasped. It had come true. She leaned, waving out the window, and kept waving until he seemed to melt away into the sunlight as the car turned the corner and they headed out of town to the highway. Hey friends, Mrs. Wolfe here from Reading with Beverly Wolfe. I hope you enjoyed Grandy's gift as much as I did. Grandy reminded me of my dad. And so you heard me get a little choked up near the end. But wow, Sarah, beautiful book. Now, folks, I want to tell you that Grandy's Gift and Ghost the Bootlegger's Horse and all of Sarah's personally designed greeting cards and postcards are only in the links. You can only purchase them through the links in the description box below this video. And I hope you take the opportunity to email Sarah and ask her when her next book is coming out, because she's just a pleasure to narrate. Just a thrill. Anyway, take care. God bless. Mwah.